making sure managers and supervisors are on board and know what we're doing, and we have a strong team of analysts who help us with that piece of the policy and procedure development. So I think we have to figure that out before we start with training.
Mm-hmm. Other things, so you have policy, procedure development, you have implementation planning, you have the whole kind of getting information out, making sure your people are aware, bought into this is a good idea. Other key kind of things, and we don't have to be exhaustive here, just, you know, hit highlights is fine. So
I think it's nice to identify champions and
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
kind of sprinkle them around so that the enthusiasm is infectious.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure enough key people know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and all of that then is preparatory to actually beginning with the first caseworker, frontline person that you're asking to do something differently. Okay, so now we've arrived at this point. We've done these things. We got our champions in place, and people are saying, "Oh my gosh, this does sound like it would fulfill a need, and it is a good idea." But you have this entire county, and you have all the things that go on here. What's the next step?
Are we talking about differential response?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we had to do
We're flexible.
We had to do a lot of work with the community and family resource centers and our public health and our mental health, because they were our partners in
Okay.
differential response. Would it help if we told you what it is, or do you know what it is?
Nope, that's fine. I'm happy being ignorant, so. But working with the partners who are involved in this, so I mean, without them, you can't have differential
They're
response,
part of the
right?
implementation
Yeah,
plan.
so they are key actors in, all right?
And we kind of had to do a pilot with just 2 of the family resource centers to begin with. We ran that for like almost a year.
Oh, no, we had more than 2. It was
Was
like
it?
5 or 6.
Okay, maybe,
Yeah.
but
It's
it wasn't
5.
the whole 14.
No.
And after the year, the others all joined in. But there was a lot of hesitation
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning because people didn't want to be, family resource centers didn't really want to be associated with child welfare services. We were not considered to be a partner of the good guys.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you guys are pretty scary, I have to say that.
Look at this group.
but after a year's worth of working with us, everybody else wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
They wanted to play ball
Yeah.
too.
So, and these 5 out of the possible 14, how did you arrive at those 5 as opposed to the other 9?
I think they were the most organized at the time.
They were, and they were willing. We did an awful lot of meeting with them in order to be able to help them understand what we were asking of them, what the expectations would be, and they just kind of sort of self-selected. I thought maybe Kat did. No, who was Barbara?
Barbara was.
O'Neill.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think they were the first ones. The others came on later. I'm pretty sure.
They were all, the whole consortium was already together. The other 9 just wouldn't. They didn't want to have anything to do with
Well, I
us.
think we also wanted to start small.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have the ability to start all of them at the same time.
So maybe was there some geographic considerations too?
I think
I
they
don't
were
remember.
the close. I think we did start with Eureka, Fortuna, McKinleyville, Blue Lake. I mean, there were
Close
a
ones.
little closer. You weren't here then. Why did I look at you? You weren't even here.
I just looked at your primary data. I mean, I thought it was a little bit tied to data and where that population was.
Well, yeah, I mean, we knew where
Where
most
the
of our
referrals
referrals were
were
coming
coming
from.
Yeah, I thought that
Okay.
was also part of it.
Could have been. That would have made sense.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it does make sense, but I think you actually looked at it and
We looked at data.
geomapping. I think there was some geomapping on that too. I
Yeah.
remember. It was new then.
Right.
And how long did that kind of run up to, with these 5? I mean, you kind of started, I assume you talked to all 14 and said, here are the things we'd like to do. and somehow you narrowed down to these 5, and then you spent more time with them. They got to understand it, and they said, yeah, pick me, I want to be one of the first ones. So that took a week, a month, a year.
Well, there were monthly meetings going on during that first year that the Family Resource Center had. That was a standing meeting that they had, and we would consistently go to that and talk about the successes with the 5 that we were working with.
But I mean, before you even got the 5 signed on, what was that?
before
How long did it take for them to actually sign on the bottom line, say, okay, we're going to start?
I remember being in meetings with them where I remember sitting around a table and talking about things like the referral form. You know, what was the referral form going to say on it? How much information were we going to be able to share with them? You know, what was going to happen after the family was referred to them? Were we going to let the family know ahead of time that they were coming? Those sorts of things. And that went on, I would think, at least 6 months, if
6
not
months?
a little bit longer.
Okay.
Because I think it started in '05. It was part of redesign, as I said, and I think it started in '05, and we didn't finalize the procedure till sometime in '06, and then we might not have even started in. I think we started in
doing referrals in
'06.
August
We
of
did.
06.
We started in the summer of '06. You're right.
The summer of '06. All right. At least you had the good sense to start in the summer, so it's not like this.
And the monthly meetings did carry through, not just from the planning, but there
They're
still
still
is a
happening.
monthly, and now
Yeah.
it's been renamed to DR Continuity, just to continue the process of conversations of what could be improved and what's working well.
So, but now, okay, so now you've gone through the several months of meetings where you're sharing this kind of information, referral forms, et cetera, kind of working out the details. 5 of the 14 then say, pick me. You started work with them.
Well, the work was with them, the small group.
Only
Yeah.
them. So right away it narrowed down from the 14 to the
Yeah,
to the
I think
5.
so.
Okay. Were the 14 though still meeting in their their Family
Yeah.
Resource Center meetings?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you still had a way for the 5 who chose themselves to participate, and now we're starting to experience success and some of the benefits of all of this. They had a way to talk to their peers. I mean, their monthly meetings there were
They
a way
have their
for them.
own, I think, monthly meetings amongst themselves. Plus, they
Oh,
meet with
without you guys.
amongst themselves.
Yeah.
They're a collaborative. And then we meet with them quarterly, the department. Not
Okay.
just child welfare, the department has people that meet with them quarterly. Plus, we had our own, well, now it's monthly, but back then it might have been more frequent for planning differential response with the
Okay.
5.
So the planning phase of this then might have been weekly, more
Probably wasn't
intensively.
weekly,
Well,
but-
but more often than once a month though. You're
Yeah, it was
Probably.
at
Kind
least
of-
twice a month, if
Yeah,
not every
all
other
right.
week.
all right. So that and that process that you're just describing, since we're kind of at the end of that part, is really the exploration stage of implementation. So this is where you don't just leap into things. You're trying to find out, well, who's interested? Are these likely prospects for actually making good use of this? And if they are, then you kind of get into the installation part where you're, well, what would it take? How can we share information? What would a referral form? I mean, you're starting to get the wherewithal together, and resources are not just money, it's time and linkages and relationships and all kinds of things that fit into that category. So once again, what you're doing here in this county would count as some pretty darn good practices from an implementation point of view. So again, just to put the implementation lens on what you do just as a matter of course, because to you it just makes sense to do it this way. This is the kind of thing, though, we would want to see happening in other counties in a purposeful way again and again and again. So your vetting process, your preparation of your partners, both internally and externally to your